This is going to be a brief overview of the FHAST GUI, graphical user interface, not a detailed overview of how to do fast runs, just show you some of the capabilities of it. So let's open it up here. It is based on a minimum version of QGIS, so it's all packaged together. So the total FAST package comes with QGIS, net logo, and a version of R included in it. So you open it up, you'll see it's laid out. If you're familiar with QGIS projects or even ARC, it looks similar to those. So we have the file layer imports on the side. We have various file navigations and such on the top, and some shape modification things. And then the specific FAST plugins are on the side, as well as up here under this drop. So given this is a GIS, QGIS type environment, FAST project is actually just a QGIS project. So let me open one here to show you what it looks like. So I'm going to open this small FAST project here. So it looks like a GIS project with groups. And so every group here needs to have one input file unless they're optional groups. And that's the way you sort of load. This would be a full sort of fast run that would be ready to run and set up. So I'm going to show you how to sort of set those up in the various ways using those plugins over there. Remove these. So the first and most basic plugin is the template maker, and this just makes those groups. So if you open it up, it'll just ask you, do you want to make the groups? And you say, yep. And then there they are. And so you can populate these with your various inputs. So the probably easiest way to do that is drag and drop. So if I have a file here that I want to get in there, I'll go to my example files, and let's say I want to pull in a shape file. I could go to, let's do the grid maybe, and I'll go to my center line, and you can just grab and pull that in there. And so then it appears, and you need to move it inside the center line bin. If you want to be more efficient about it, you can highlight the section first, and then my top points, I'm going to grab my top point here and just pull that in there, and that'll automatically go inside the top point section. You can also add them the more lengthy way of using the sort of selector here and adding in an Esri shapefile, which is sort of slower, but works just fine. For the table files like CSVs, etc., if you load them in with the text eliminated, it actually treats them as a geographic spatial object without a geographic feature and makes them uneditable. So you do actually need to drag those in. So for example, if I wanted to put in an environmental input file, I would just find the one I wanted to, and I can drag it in here. And there's my environmental input file right there. All of these are editable, so you could go and move your top point around if you wanted to. You could add and shift your center line a little bit if you wanted to, using these sort of standard JS tools that will become active once you select the editing feature. Tables are also editable, so if you open their attribute table, you can see all the parameters that go in there. They're locked currently, so you can't edit them. Once you make them editable, though, you can change whatever one you wanted to the new value and save it. So that's how you interact with all the input files, and you can edit them. So I'm going to close this down. Remove that group. And let's say you had a bunch of files that you wanted to load, and you had them all ready to go. You can use the FAST file loader, which has an input section for each one of the file types you need. So for your grid center line, I could then open this up. Let me just copy this over for speed. I could go to my grid center line here. I'll do the long one, put that in there. Let's do a canopy file. And let's do a fish parameter file just for purposes of demonstration. And so you can populate these all and hit OK, or if you just populate a couple, it'll just add in all the groups and then put those files in their appropriate groups. And you can go back in and re-add in anything you missed. So then this will just populate that section right there. Yeah, so again, so that's another way to load the files. I'm going to remove all of these again. Let's say you don't have any of the things made. You can make a FHAST project with a bunch of dummy files in it that have the appropriate form but have no information in them. And so that's done here with the FHAST template and FileMaker. So I'll do that. You have to select the projection you want your shapefiles to be in. So I'll go over here and I'll look for my California projection that I like. And then go down here. So here's all the California projections. 260, 26941 is the one I normally use. So I'll do that one. And then you select the output folder, and this is where all of your files are going to go. So I'll make a new little folder here and call it blank. Like that. Okay, and then I'll hit OK. After a second there, it'll load all the files. And all those files are then contained in that folder, as we saw. And they're all set up to be the correct format, but have no information in them. So for example, the dummy cover file, if I open the attributes table, it has all the correct classifications there, but no attributes, but it is in the correct projection. Same thing is true with any of these CSV files down here, the fish population file. Fish parameter would be more interesting to see. This has all the parameters for the fish you need, but there's just a fish species listed at the top with nothing in it, and all values indicating there's no parameter been filled there yet. So you could then work on those tables if you wanted to build up a completely fresh run, not using any of the pre-loaded parameter sets that come with FHAST. And so I'm going to open the project again, discard any changes we made there, and open this project. And then since this is fully populated, we can use the running plugin right now. So this one right here, so run a FHAST simulation. The first thing you could do is you could preview it if you wanted to. So I'm going to do that. So I'll go here, and this will be our output folder. It's actually going to create another folder in here where all the outputs are going to go. And that folder is going to be named based on the project name plus an outputs trailing word. And so I'm going to do the preview only. Hit this. And what preview is going to do is let you see graphically what some of these CSV files will end up looking like. And then it also lets you see the coverage you're going to get with your grid, given your center line and top point. And so it should pop up through windows here. That'll show us some graphs and then give us a little warning, which says the system was interrupted because we told to stop at preview. So the preview complete. This is not an error, so you can move that aside. So here we can see the section where our grid is going to be outlined in gray. So we get a sense of our coverage. Maybe we want to expand a little bit there to cover more section. We can see the daily distribution of fish that are being put into the system. Here I'm using a super individual ratio, so it steps up in sort of discrete units. We can see that. And then we can see the environmental parameters that we put in, so we can see our, our flow increasing and our temperature and turbidity bouncing around throughout our runtime. Okay, so let's close that. And then we'll run this without a preview and see how it goes. And so it's going to load everything. I'm going to pause the video here and pick it back up when it is done. Okay, so the run is complete. I'm just going to scroll back up here to show you some of the verbose outputs it puts out. Effectively, it loaded all the libraries, which you saw before. Goes through those occasional warnings. If things happen, that'll pop up. So this one just says some of the fish are outside the model domain. It goes through all the R setups. Then it creates the net logo simulation and runs it, prints out the dates as it goes through that, just to track it. Saves a bunch of images, and then it has a whole bunch of things where it's making the R markdown files and rendering them. And then it just gives you a message run fast, run complete. And there's some standard warnings at the end, mostly about GIS modification stuff. Yeah, and so that has then produced a large collection of outputs, which can be seen in your output folder. So small distribution Chinook outputs. The reports are sort of the summary ones. So the general report has tables and figures about various things in it. And then also there's lots of sort of shape files and information you can get, so you could see the river grid if you wanted to get a more explicit view of it. So there's your river grid section that was automatically made by the program. So yeah, that was just a general overview of the FHAST graphical user interface, and then there'll be more examples of modifications of cover and things like that in future videos.